Well, good morning, everyone. So nice to have all of you gathered this morning for this special conversation. I see familiar faces, I see new faces, and that's very exciting for us. I was thinking as I was driving in, I wonder what you see of a weekday morning when you drive through Stevens Point. Do you see the children who are coming to school hungry? Do you see the men and women in the corridor between the library, waiting for Franciscans downtown to open? Do you know we have a warming center in Stevens Point? Do you know that there are some children who go to school with only a suitcase filled with belongings to get them through day to day because they're in foster care and they don't have a permanent home? What do you see when you drive through Stevens Point of a weekday morning? When you see something that stands out for you, does it move your heart? Or does it move you to action? Oh, you can't hear me? I will speak more loudly. Is that better? Thank you, Barb. Okay. Tiffani Kreuger is one of those people who can walk through or drive through Stevens Point and surrounding environments and see a lot and have a heart that's broken open more widely and understand that not just to be a point of wonderment or pity, but a call to action. And to want to make real the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace, something Father Steve is speaking about today in his homily. So it is my pleasure to introduce Tiffani this morning. I'm very excited to know more about you myself. I welcome Dee as well. Dee and Tiffani are partners in crime, as it were, and one another's right-hand women. So without any further ado, thank you for being with us this morning. We look forward to your story.
Okay, can you hear me? Is this good? All right, as you know, I'm Tiffani Kreuger. So I kind of go a little bit back just to give you kind of an idea what our nonprofit is about. It's called Evergreen Community Initiatives. Back in 2010, we were serving at the House of Peace, which was run by Catholic Charities off of the Dorothy Day Ministry. We served a meal. I want to think we started a fire in the parking lot making a turkey one year, and they actually asked us if we'd be willing to take over the ministry. So we ended up turning that into the Place of Peace, which is a community meal that we served. They served it for 12 years, and we took it over in 2010. And we've been serving ever since, other than COVID. We're getting it going again here coming up soon. But with that being said, that kind of got Evergreen Church, was what we were founded from, to start a nonprofit in 2011 called Evergreen Community Initiatives. We started the nonprofit because Feeding America reached out to us. They noticed that there was not enough food per our population in Stevens Point here. So we ended up connecting with them and started a program called Food Fill Up. I'll go through these really quickly just to kind of give you a timeline of who we are and how we became to where we're at today. Feeding America would come 4 times a year and drop, yep. Okay. Trying to get you closer to my face. Okay, I will try. I talk really fast. It's really a horrible thing that I do. It's me. So Feeding America would come and they would drop off about $20,000 to $30,000 worth, or 30 pounds, excuse me, worth of food 4 times a year, and we had a drive-through food pantry. We would serve hundreds of families within 2 hours. It was the most amazing food pantry, food drive you've ever seen around. And we did it for about 5 years here in Stevens Point. Throughout those years, we did movies in the park. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, where we got the community together to watch movies with free popcorn, free soda. We also did mobile homeless outreach called Smile for Christ's Sake. I was inspired by a Facebook video that these two guys just decided to take off their own shirts, go with bananas out on the streets and something to drink and a blanket and just go love on people and make people smile that are homeless on the streets. And it hit me, like, we can totally do this. Like, this would be so amazing. We probably went on 40 to 50 homeless outreaches all over Wisconsin and Chicago. Throughout probably like 4 or 5 years we did that. When Stevens Point found out that we did a mobile homeless outreach, and it wasn't just like a little mobile homeless outreach, we took like 2 truckloads full of stuff, and we served hundreds of people living on the streets in Madison, Milwaukee, Chicago, Green Bay, all over the place. But when Stevens Point found out that we did this, all of a sudden the police department started calling me and saying, Tiffani, are you able to come help this person? We don't know what to do. They're homeless. They're sleeping outside. We don't know where to point them. There's nowhere for them to go. So I all of a sudden became Stevens Point Rescue for the homeless here, which I didn't even know we had a homeless population here in Stevens Point. So then that opened my eyes. I remember one of my favorite songs was "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord." And I sang that over and over and over. And sometimes now I regret it because my eyes are wide open to what's going on in our community. So once they found out that that's what we did, I served 97 people on the streets in 1 year here in Stevens Point. I was shocked. A little bit into that, about, I think 2014, in January, there's a gentleman that was living behind the bus station here in Stevens Point, right down by Shopko, the old Shopko. It was mid-January, and we were gonna have this nasty cold drop, like -40. And I pleaded with the police department, please let him sleep in your lobby. He's gonna die. Like, you cannot leave someone outside. I fought with the Salvation Army. I fought with everyone. Like, I raised ruckus because I was not going to tolerate this man dying in front of my face. Long story short, Comfort Inn Suites actually took him in, saved his life, gave him a job, gave him a room. That day forward, I couldn't live with myself. I was moved to do something about it. And so that's how the Warming Center came about. We have a 12-person capacity there. And with that being said, we opened up early. We usually open up November 1st. We opened up 2 days ago because of the temperatures. We'll open up early because I don't want anyone freezing on my hands. And our capacity is 12, and we had 13 people. And that's not everyone that's on the streets. There's more people out there. So we're facing some crazy times right now where we're probably not going to be able to shelter everyone, but I'm going to break the rules because I'm a rule breaker, and I'm not turning people away. So we're going to be really, really busy this winter. Now, let's go back a little bit. Back in 2013, that's when we started this homeless outreach. Just seeing the need and then going on our first one, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is what we're sent to do. And we probably brought in 40, 50 different volunteers over the years to come and help love on people with us. And we literally would just go and hug and love, and you wouldn't believe how happy people were just being felt like a normal human being. During that time, during our Place of Peace meal that we've been serving, like I said, since about 2010, we had some kids coming in with clothes, their toes poking out of their little sleepers, holes in their clothes, it used to just be, when we took it over, it was like adults, but more families were starting to come in. And me, at the time, I was a foster parent. I was a foster parent for about 6 years. So I stashed a whole bunch of clothing in my basement because I never know if I was gonna get a 13-year-old girl, 2-year-old boy, so I did this collection over the years out of my basement. And then one day, I started not being able to fill the needs that I was seeing in my basement. And we were in a church, the First Baptist Church, now it's Downtown Mission Church, and they only had like 12 members at that time. And I asked them, can we use this space to do what we're doing already, to store our stuff for the homeless so we could provide for our community and other communities, and store stuff for kids. And they said, we're not doing anything with it, go for it. So we're like, yes, but then we're like, what are we getting ourselves into? So it started out as small little piles of clothes on a shelf. I, and in banana boxes, yep. It was very, very, my word I would use is ghetto. It was really ridiculous looking down there. But we did it just because it was needed. And then there was needs that I couldn't fill that we were seeing from just our Place of Peace meal. And so then I went to Facebook and I created another Facebook group. I have like 3 or 4 of them. But one's called Helping Hands Stevens Point. And I try to add as many people on there as possible. I went to my private Facebook first and started saying, hey guys, does anyone have clothes, free tea for a girl? I have a girl that's coming in. And then there's this baby that doesn't have a crib. There's these kids that don't have car seats. And I would just start pleading with people, help me, can you help me? Can you help me help people? And this Facebook group now has almost 3,000 people in it. And whenever we have needs like this, it explodes. Sometimes she yells at me, don't ask for things on Facebook, because I'll ask for like paper bags, and then all of a sudden we'll get like 1,000 in a week. It's just like, it can be crazy, but God provides. Like, it's really, really cool to watch the ministry turn into what it has turned into today. I'm gonna let Dee talk a little bit about our statistics as to where we started and to where we are today. Even as far as where we were at our last building, and only being here 2 months, how much change is happening in our community and how much more awareness people are aware of having us have the kids closet here in Stevens Point and here actually at Holy Spirit Parish. So go ahead, I'm gonna shut this off so you don't have to hear me breathe.
Well, like Tiffany said, the kids closet was started in 2013. We didn't know if it was gonna take off. We didn't know where we were going with it. So we didn't start keeping numbers until 2015. So we operated for 2 years with no clue. We just kept going and moving. And since 2015, when we started keeping numbers, we have served over 11,000 kiddos in this community. They are free to come in, take what they need. Our only 2 requirements are if the clothes are still available and usable, bring them back, or you pass them on to someone else that can use them. So we ask no questions. We, like the Bible says, welcome the foreigner with open arms. So the only reason we ask for a first name and the number of kids that you're shopping for is so we can see the progress that we're going on. So since we have been here at Holy Spirit Parish, basically 2 months, we opened August 11th, we have served over 950 children. They come in all sizes, all places. The smiles at the end of the day are just so rewarding. And the same 2 months that we did last year, we served 503 kids. So we've almost doubled in the 2 months that we have been here. We also have an event that we call Back to School Bash, and we open it right before school, where again, any child in need can get new socks, new underwear, and brand new shoes. They're free to take whatever they need. And this year, here at Holy Spirit, we served 186 children in 2 hours. They were lined up. And somehow, some way, the bins were always full. They were free to take whatever they wanted, whatever in their little minds needed, and yet they were so proud to be able to go to school with something brand new, that no one was going to bully them because they had holes in their socks or no socks at all. So
Yeah, she was touching on how we don't ask questions. It's very important to me with all of our ministries throughout all the years, because we've done more than I've spoke about, that we don't ask questions. If you drive up in a Cadillac, I don't know if you lost your job a month ago. That's not my place to judge you. So we make that very clear that we don't need income requests, we don't ask questions. If you need help, don't be ashamed to come and help. Our biggest part, especially Dee, she's the grandma of the kids' closet. I'm gonna tell you, she probably hugged every single child that's ever came through a billion times. Half of them come running in just for a hug. Dee, where's Dee? You know, she's just like super loved. She has patience, I don't. I have a lot of kids. So she will sit down with the children and she will go through and she will help them pick out clothing. A mom's in distress has like 4 or 5 kids coming in. She'll take 2 of them and she'll go sit down in the bin and she'll go and see, you know, hold up the clothes. And so our ministries, all of our ministries are about loving people. We take that very seriously. We get involved in a lot of people's lives. We have people that sometimes come in the kids' closet that don't even need anything. They just need to talk about where they're at. Like I reported families for kids for CPS because I was concerned for some children. But I've celebrated when they get their kids back because they followed through with me and kept talking about all the right choices that they've been making. And I've had a lot of success stories that I've seen through the kids' closet. It's really, really cool to be involved and to be that someone for people that don't have people, because I don't think people realize in this community how many people don't have anyone. And we see that at the warming center. I've lost every year at least 1 or 2 of my boys. I call them my boys because I'm like the mom at the warming center. Our shelter is very different than a normal shelter. We work out of love, we work out of friendship. We hug a lot. It's a safe place for people to come. We don't force people to do chores or anything like that. People actually step up and say, can I help? What can I do? It's a different kind of way when you love people versus forcing people to do things. So in all of our ministries, we take that very seriously. Lots and lots of hugs, lots of conversations. All of our volunteers, we have a lot of volunteers. We've had thousands of volunteers over the year, and it's very important to me that we keep it mostly that way because I want people to be there because they want to be there. I want them to be there for their heart, and that is where we have the most success all the way across the board in everything that we do, is just because people are there because they want to be there and they want to help. And then a lot of people, almost everyone, their perception of poverty changes completely when they see this is a human behind this. This is a mom that's struggling. This is a homeless person who just lost everything because of one thing that just went wrong. And with COVID happening, our homeless population has increased drastically. I'm very concerned about this winter. I've been working really hard on getting extra fundraising money to be able to cover the needs. There's needs that we do have through that with the kids. We need winter gloves, both adult and children's, just to take care of our community. We have a hard time keeping those on our shelves. But it's just a very different world that people, like what you see is different from what I see. I see humans, I see people who are hurting and suffering. Kids Closet, Place to Peace meal. The Place to Peace meal especially, I love. It's for family, like we're one big family. And people don't come in necessarily because they're starving. They come in because they want a hug. They come in because they want to sit and chat with someone that they've been sitting home all week by themselves. So everything we do is kind of about love and just loving thy neighbor. That's just kind of what I have been sent to do, I guess. I never planned to open a shelter. I never planned to run a kids closet. I never planned any of this. I never planned to be in charge. God just laughs at me, I think, a lot, and he's like, here you go. So I think that's pretty much what we came here to talk about. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. Okay, that's a long story. Short part of the story is our warming center especially is for people who have substance abuse issues or that are not welcome at the Salvation Army, the misfits, the people who get kicked out. You can't drink at the Salvation Army, they drug test you. I am a recovering meth addict. Back when I was in my early 20s, I was on drugs and I was homeless. I had a gentleman that had purchased the house actually, just so I had somewhere to go. He was my best friend. He took very good care of me when I was ready to get clean. He came over every day. He looked after me. He made sure I was fed. He did a lot for me until I could do things for myself. About 3 months after I got clean, he got killed in a car accident. And when I was homeless, he gave me $1,000 and said, left a long note. You don't owe me this back. I want you to get on your feet. I want you to get a place to live, and I want you to be okay. And you don't ever have to pay me back. If you ever have a chance to do something for someone else, go for it. And when he died and I woke up, that's just always been on my heart, that I needed to make sense of his life and give back. So that's kind of how I ended up wanting to return the love. And like I said, we've lost a lot of our friends. I get really close to my boys at the shelter. I've been power of attorney for a couple of them because they didn't have anyone. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into the hospital and my name is listed as family and I'm not related to any of these people. It's just one of those things that God put on my heart. Dee?
Other questions for Tiffany and Dee? Oh, excuse me.
And I am pretty much the same way with Tiffany and the warming center and our street friends. The kids' closet is that important to me. Growing up, I was one of those little kids that had one dress that I had to wear every day to school with no socks. And so when these little kids come through and you can see the joy in their eyes to get something new, that they don't have to wear the same thing day after day or be bullied because they have old clothes. So just bringing it forward, letting these little kids know how much they're cared about and loved by people. It's not necessarily something the parents can give them at that point in time, but if someone at a safe place can give them new socks or new underwear or a new outfit, that changes hopefully their whole perspective on life and that they will be okay when they come to the kids' closet.
I know that a lot of the clothing and all is donated. I know that a lot of the clothing is donated, but when it comes to the back to school, the underwear and shoes and all, you must have some funding for that. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We are funded by pretty much Stevens Point all over the place. We don't have any federal funding or state funding or anything like that. We are probably the lowest run or funded shelter kids closet out of anywhere that you'll ever see. It's run off of donations. However, we got very lucky that I have a friend that works at Monogram Foods that's kind of up in charge. And she's like, Tiffany, do you know we have this grant out there called Monogram Loves Kids? I'm like, what? So I write all the grants for the nonprofit. And a couple years ago, I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna ask them for $5,000. And every year since, they give us $5,000. And Dee and I get to go shopping with 2 carts in each hands, both of us. and we unfortunately rob Walmart or whatever we can with all the shoes. We don't rob them, but it leaves less shoes for the other people that need to shop. We fill our carts with shoes, socks, and underwear, and then we just go blow all that money, and we get to watch all these kids, you know, leave. I mean, a lot of them put the shoes on before they leave. They're so excited. I remember one of our volunteers leaving this year in the parking lot, and this little kid like dancing around in his new shoes, and he was like just so excited to have his new stuff. So like, it's like the best thing ever. So we call it the Monogram Loves Kids Back to School Bash. We also have another woman that runs the Power of Five. It's a Facebook group. She's got hundreds and hundreds of people, like almost like 1,000 people in this group. And what this group does is every month they donate $5 to her. Just a simple a cup of coffee at Starbucks, $5. She pools all that money together, and then she'll go buy a whole bunch of brand new shoes, a whole bunch of brand new underwear, a whole bunch of brand new socks. But she does this for organizations all over town. She picks us probably 2 or 3 months out of the year to take care of, whether it's the warming center or the kids' closet. She does a lot to help us, to keep us going. So our mission as Evergreen Community Initiatives is to be oh gosh, you don't remember our mission statement? It's only been 12 years. It's to the main point of our mission is to love others, but to get the community involved. So we are not necessarily like fully the doers. It's our job to get everyone to get involved and be the doers. We try to pass a lot of our ministries along to other things, like the movies in the park. We passed along to the YMCA. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for them. Passed along to Create Portage County, and then it kind of just everything changed. So unfortunately, that ministry got lost in handing it over. But we tried to get more people involved to take over. I used to run the warming center myself, like a lot. Now I have lead staff, so I'm trying to delegate more because I got a lot on my plate. I'm a single mom. Won't be soon. But I got a lot going on, and it's really hard for me to keep on top of all these things. But we've been very fortunate that people have stepped up and taken charge over that, and that's kind of the point of what we do. So.
What are your plans for the future?
Unfortunately, like I said, I never planned anything. It falls into my lap, and like I said, God laughs at me a lot, in my opinion. I didn't plan the kids' closet. I didn't plan the warming center. I never woke up one day and said, I'm gonna run a shelter. I don't have training. I don't have education for that. But I do have a heart to not ever wanna do that again. Like, I brought my kids out every day to feed this gentleman who is sleeping in like negative 10-degree weather, you know. It became a family thing for me. Got my kids very involved. It's just where God takes us next. I don't have plans. We have a hygiene pantry too that is here. Very important to us. That hygiene pantry not only takes care of the families that come through, it takes care of the warming center and all of our clients. Last year at the warming center, the year before we had only 48 people. We only sleep 12, mind you. It was our quietest year. We usually serve around 60 people, 70 people. This last year we served 77. I'm assuming we're gonna hit way over that this year. Like I said, we're gonna go over capacity, and that's at Frame Presbyterian Church. And in my opinion, if anyone has a problem with that, you know, like I'm ready to argue that out, because I'm not gonna live a life knowing that I turned somebody away and they died on my hands. So I don't know. I don't have plans other than just to keep things going along and wait for what God has next for us. So.
And the same with the kids' closet. When Tiffani got this vision or dream or whatever you want to call it, she said, "Come on, Dee, help me. You'll have fun." And I'm going, okay. And the more and more you got the hugs, you had moms hugging you and saying, thank you. I mean, how can you not want to do more? And as far as our donations in the kids' closet, we're not limited to kids' clothing. We take blankets and sheets and just about any household item that you can think of. Because when these moms lose everything in whatever their situation is, and they need to start over, they don't have the money to start over. So the dishes, the sheets, you name it, you just need to put it in the donation shed right next to the church here, and we'll use it somehow, some way.
Yep, we try to load it up and try to make sure everyone has everything they need that we can provide to start over again, especially families. Yep. Volunteer. I'm trying to, I'm that person. So a lot of people call me, a lot of people email me. You can go to our website, Wisconsin ECI for Evergreen Community Initiatives, ECI.org, WisconsinECI.org. You can go on our website and go through the Warming Center page or the Kids Closet page or whatever, and then there's a way to contact me through that. We serve children that are in the mama's belly still. We like to, we have something called New Mom Kits, where we put together boys, girls, and when we see a mom that's ready to go, we give her this kit, brand new onesies and brand new newborn clothing. Like whenever we get brand new stuff for babies, we put it in our back locker room. And so these babies start out with diapers, wipes, the shampoo, lotions, I mean, you name it, teethers, pacifiers, baby receiving blankets. We have this, it's a big bag. And so we start from babies all the way up to whatever sizes we can have. We usually try to save up to adult size large. We try to keep it as like something that a teenager would wear. So we try to make sure that the donations that we receive is something that someone would wear to school, you know. So elderly clothing is not necessarily a choice for kids, so we don't take all adult clothes, just, you know, all the way up to whatever we have for sizes. So we have this thing that in our community forever and a day, probably I've been a part of it for like a decade now. It's called Emergency Services. We get together every 3 months and we all talk together about what is trending, what the needs are, what we all see. We're all pretty much on the same page as to seeing what's actually trending in our community and how we are nowhere where we were 10 years ago to where we are today. There's so many more children involved when it comes to shelters. 10 years ago, there were no kids. Now the families are taking over all the rooms. We refer to one another. They refer people to us. We're all aware of each other and what they do. We get together, like I said, every 3 months, and we all talk around the table and see where we can help. I get calls from people saying they sent me here, they sent me there. I also say, this is where you can go for this food pantry, you can go to this day, this food pantry. So we all work together, and we have resources, United Way resources guides every year that gives all the information together. So we try to stay as connected as possible. I get calls from the One Big Tent, that's a new resource in our community, where a lot of churches got together and are trying to work together to help people. I get calls from them all the time where they're like, I don't know this resource. And I'll be like, oh, I can tell you where to go. So it's just, we're all connected. We all work really well together in our community.
You take in a lot of used items and used blankets and used things. How do you ensure cleanliness of that?
We sort, and we have a salvage company that comes weekly to take the stuff that we do not feel. Okay, so it's very important to me. A lot of people think, oh, a family's poor, having a pair of pants with a big hole in the knee is better than nothing. We don't believe that. We want our kids to walk away proud. So when we have a pair of pants with a hole in the knees, we do pass that along. We don't accept them. We have a salvage company that helps and does drives to other bigger cities that will take items like that. So we are very particular in what we put on our shelves because we want families to walk away with dignity. That's pretty much the main point of why we started it, is to not have to have kids wearing clothes with holes in them, you know, so it's very important to us.
But what do you do about washing your stuff?
We don't wash. We're very much in the sniff test. We smell a lot of things to make sure it's appropriate. And we get a lot of things we're like, what is in this bag? That bag's going away right away. So we're very particular just because, again, it's a dignity thing for us, for the children. So.
And also with the kids' closet, when we have items that, you know, we end up with 10 totes of size 3 to 6 months, it's something that is usable, but we just don't need it at the moment. We pass that on to a group in Plover called Orphan Grain Train. And so we pass the community's generosity onto them, who also work throughout the United States, along with schools and orphanages in 68 different countries. So it's not like we can keep it all, but we know at the same time there comes a point where we just cannot keep any more on hand. So we pass the good stuff on to another organization that can use it.
Yep, and we don't like to waste, like you were saying about the clothing or stuff that we get that's not appropriate. We have someone that comes and takes it off our hands and, you know, does good with it. So we try not to waste anything. I mean, even as far as plastic bags, we recycle everything. We're very green. We try to make the best out of everything that we have and make it go to the right places so it's not wasteful.
We were talking before the session, Dee and I were talking, and she said that they've only been here 32 hours in these 2 months, and they serve that many children. So when you have that many children coming in, how many volunteers do you have here helping them on those days?
Changes all the time. We don't have schedules. People come when they come. Sometimes on Mondays I've been gone a little bit for the last few months, so it's just Dee and Bridget. So that makes for crazy, crazy, crazy times for them. Even with the 3 of us, it's pretty crazy. But then on Thursday, I think we had like 5 or 6 people. We're very used to stepping up over children as we go. We're very used to full rooms. We're very used to chaos, and that's pretty much what we do, organized chaos. But it's fun hearing the kids laugh and giggle and run around. And when we open, I don't know if you've ever been down there, we stuff a lot of our racks inside. When we open, we bring them out in the hallway. So we have a lot more space and it's spread out. So it's a lot easier for us in this location to serve more people at one time because it's not just shoved into one little room. There's you know, ways around to make it feel not so crowded. And it helps us too, so then we can keep working and sorting. We are talking about potentially, because of this increase that we're seeing, which in my opinion, I've been calling this out for years because of COVID and the downfall of all the funding falling out, and you know, there's just a lot going on that's gonna really affect our community. And it already starting, obviously, with us doubling from last year to this year. I don't know where I was going with that, and I do that quite a bit. I don't know, I just see where we're at right now. It's a blessing. We're very grateful because this gives us the space to grow like we are needed to, I guess, at this point.
So do you accept things like stuffed animals? You said pillows and things like that?
So bedding, yes, absolutely. Bedding is very important to us. Blankets, pillows, pillowcases. We don't do stuffed animals and toys just because we don't have space. We really want to load our shelves up with necessities. If we had space to do more, we would do more. But we're working with what we have, and like I said, growing already out of the room as it is, it gives us the space to do what we're doing as we are. We are gonna have a little pantry installed, right, I don't even know our location right now, right across the street from the hospital, but on this property here is our free little pantry. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the one that was on Church Street at our old location at DMC. We put hygiene and food in that little pantry, and it got to the point where we no longer needed to load it. The community loads it for us. We got so much use out of it that it was loaded like 3 or 4 times a day sometimes. And I'm assuming we're gonna see the same thing here. So we don't have a food pantry per se anymore, but we kind of will have a little one outside. So we depend on the community to continue to fill that with food and hygiene for whomever is passing by in need. And so it's another one of those no questions asked. If you need deodorant and there's deodorant in there, it's yours, grab it, no one's watching. That's been going on probably for 5 years now, and it's been very successful. Our little pantry, there's probably about a dozen in town. Our little pantry gets the most use out of all of them in the community, so, and it gets the most filled as well. So that'll be coming maybe next week or 2 weeks from now. It'll show up on the property, you'll see it. Absolutely. We have, so a part of what we do is kind of crazy. There's a lot of different languages that are not when I speak that come through. So we definitely speak with our hands and with our hearts, and we do a lot of, lifting up clothing to kids, pulling out the arms to see if the sizes are right. I want to think we've helped all the families, and even more than the ones that people are aware of that have already shown up. We do have a translator for Spanish, thankfully, because we do have a lot of people that can't speak English coming from that way, but the refugee families, absolutely. We had one of them, she kept a pair of shoes from the little boy. He only had one pair of shoes, and the whole base of it was flopped completely in half. So he was literally walking with half his foot. Those were his only pair. So this lady here is like, you're going home with shoes. And she sat there and they tried on all these shoes and she sent them home with a few. And that was like, what, I get a couple pair? Kind of a, but sometimes they get translators they send with them, especially with the new families. Sometimes people will just come in and look for them. But yeah, we're very big on helping everyone. You want to go ahead? Yes, but I'm going to warn you. It's very... She asked if we can see the kids' closet when we're done here. But I'm going to warn you, like I said, we pull a lot of the shelves out of that room into the hallway. So what you're going to see is all of our rolling carts jammed into the room. But again, we pull all of them out and we line up the wall and we use as much space in that outer area so families are not on top of each other trying to get things done. So when you go down there, that's not what it typically looks like. But that's all the stuff that we have to offer. So.
I'm sure that some people are concerned that, oh, you receive clothing, it's not washed and it's handed over. But I have that same pain of being associated with some of the retail stores. And what happens in these stores locally is if someone decides to go to a wedding and buys shoes for the wedding on Saturday, they may return them on Monday because they really didn't want to spend that money. The same with comforters and many items. They will look at it, take it out of the plastic bag, then return it. And these are not resold. They're thrown into a dumpster, and I think it's partly because of our litigious society. But I've always had pain seeing that, and of course it'd be ideal to wash them, but they're essentially not cootie filled. And if there was a way to interrupt that process, I think a lot of items that are essentially new could be obtained on a bigger level. the clothing industry is destroying billions of dollars of clothing buried in Chile, discarded in bales in Africa, and it's bigger than a task I would want to take on and your organization. But perhaps locally something could be done to interrupt their fear of being sued because they sold something and giving away something that's still good.
So for our warming center, I have a laundry crew that takes care of our shelter portion, because my rule is you have to change your socks every single night. So we do have volunteer crew that comes every week to do laundry for the shelter. As far as the kids' closet, when we get good jackets, one of my volunteers is all about taking them home. She's got these stain remover. She's like, I'm not letting this go to waste. And she comes back with the jackets looking pretty much brand new. Now, if we did that to every article of clothing that came in, I would need a laundry crew I need like 20 washing machines for like 2 weeks worth of time, just because there's a lot that comes through our doors. And I do not have the resources to be able to do laundering. I do, when people call it about donation, I do ask them that things come in clean. We don't necessarily, we have more problems with holes in clothing, not necessarily as much problem with stains and stuff, but then at the same time, how are you getting the stain out of everything and take the chance and risk washing and for wasting, and I mean, there's just a lot to it. That's why I'm satisfied with our salvage guy that comes. He will take the junk that's like broken or metal or whatever, and he will use it for a salvage company. But then he will also take the clothing and, like I said, bring it down to Madison, Milwaukee, wherever, and bring it down to another location that is in more need than our community. So we try to do our best.
We have time for maybe one more question, and then it sounds like a tour is available to go downstairs to the kids' closet. Well, let's thank Tiffani and Dee for being with us this morning, for who they are and all they do.